What's up, Jets fans? Today is Sunday, April 6, 2025. This is Jets Express, your fast pass to everything New York Jets. I'm your host, Ben Little.
Jumping that ravement just to look up. We gotta stay on 10 toes so they don't book us. And yeah, I got their ears now when I cook up. When we've been winning so long, no way to overlook us. No.
I wanted to weigh in on some of the conversations that the Jets had publicly last week. At the owners' meetings, you had, of course, Woody Johnson's comments, Darren Mougey, and Aaron Glenn, right? Owner, GM, head coach. With Mougey and Glenn being the two new hires for this season, for this upcoming season, this new regime, one thing I can say that's been different about them out the gate is that they've been very clear and concise, and they've been transparent. And I feel like previous regimes, especially the last one with Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, they preached how they wanted to be transparent. They talked about transparency, but they weren't very transparent. They weren't clear. They would make moves or decisions, and then they would kind of just dance around in the media. So far, at least, I've seen that Aaron Glenn has been very direct and very much demonstrating what he kind of came into the Jets, what he represented with the New York Jets as a football player under Bill Parcells. It's a business attitude. It's you're straightforward with any questions that come from the reporters, but you're giving very, very, very in-depth and insightful information as to why you made a decision. That's all any fan base can ask for at the end of the day. You know, a clear example of that was with Darren Mougey even, right? Explaining about the circumstances surrounding Alan Lazard, his contract negotiations. Now, granted, you have to take everything with a grain of salt when it comes from a GM or a head coach, especially prior to the season. We haven't had the draft yet, coming up soon. But the point is, when he's asked about Alan Lazard, what's going on with Lazard? Well, he says, you know, it's ongoing. It's a fluid situation. We like where we are right now. And the reporter asks, well, where are you right now? And he says, well, right now we're in the middle of a contract negotiation. And then he says, well, what is it that you like? Well, you know, both sides basically have stated what they'd like, and we feel that we'd be able to get something done. So will he be back? Will Alan Lazard be back? Well, we believe that that's the plan right now. You know, he will be back. You know, in some way, shape, or form. I'm paraphrasing, right? And the reporter even pushes one more time and says, so you're saying Alan Lazard will be on the team? And Mougey responds, it's fluid. But the point is, as far as Alan Lazard, now we can speculate all we want, right? All right, the team brought in the receiver from, you know, previously the Lions and the Broncos last year. I forget his name right now. It's escaping me off the top of my head. And now I'm going to go look. Reynolds, right? Reynolds. Okay, I forget his first name. Irrelevant to the topic, right? At the end of the day, the whole point is that when asked about Alan Lazard, right, we can speculate. We can say, well, clearly they're going to replace him with Reynolds. And then you may say, well, I don't know. He's a professional. He hasn't really been that terrible. And to go along with Garrett Wilson and anyone else who you bring in, Lazard's not that bad of a third option, fourth option receiver. With that being said, we know that he could be gone, more than likely. But the GM doesn't definitively say he will be gone or here. He just tells us exactly where we are. It wasn't some 3-word, you know, cockamamie answer. It was an answer, and then it was pressed, and another question was answered, and then another question was answered, and they were hammering home on Alan Lazard, and the GM was just standing there, you know, like with his feet planted, giving direct answers, giving the information that the fans really want to hear at the end of the day. And with Aaron Glenn and with Mougey, just discussing why you made the move for Justin Fields, why you sign him. Well, we believe he's a starter. He's got the skill set. You know, we like what he's put out on film. And although it was only 6 starts last year with Pittsburgh, it was a 4-2 record. So he won twice as much as he lost. So again, small sample size, but I would like to think that if the Jets do what they need to do and put the pieces around Justin Fields, not necessarily all-star pieces, but pieces that work and fit for the culture. That's what they're doing here. It's clear. It's very clear. And so, yeah, I just think that to get clear information, transparent information on the direction of the football team, that's where you want to be in April. You know, if the answers sound exactly the same in October, we know we had a really bad season. But again, there's no reason to think that the team's going to come out and they won't resemble a successful team. There's no reason to think that this team's just going to be god awful. I don't know. I mean, you see the moves they've made. You disagree with the moves. I like the moves. I like that there are no contracts that are ridiculous. I like that the players that they've brought in have an average age of 26 and under. And I like that overall, they don't really have any me guys that were brought into this locker room, which means everyone is kind of on a level playing field right now. You know, we don't have the quarterback who brought in his buddies and did, you know, we tried that, right? We don't need that. First-year coach, first-year GM, they're building this thing from the ground up. I love what they did with the offensive tackle signing just a couple short days ago, bringing them back. They're filling positions of need. They've done that all throughout free agency. They've got guys in the secondary. They brought in a wide receiver. They brought in some offensive linemen or re-signed some offensive linemen. They brought in some guys to reinforce the defensive line. And now you go into the draft and I think, again, I'm not saying the Jets can be greedy and just go for best player available, because I still think that they need to attack positions of need. But they are a heck of a lot closer to being able to pick who they want to pick versus who they have to pick. I truly believe that. And at the end of the day, if they identify that someone, look, Mougey has a background in player development and talent evaluation, and so does Aaron Glenn, and he was even a scout with the Jets. Again, home run. I think the hires were a home run. I will continue to stress that video after video. This is Jets Express. If you like anything you've heard here, please do like and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.
Jumping that Raven just to look up. We gotta stay on 10 toes so they don't book us. And yeah, I got their ears now when I cook up. When we been winning so long, no way to overlook us. No.